welcome to Night Clerk Radio, episode 152, July New Music, where we are recovering after my hard drive with all my other Night Clerk Radio stuff blew up. So a little late into the month recording and getting this out. But hey, we did it. We survived. Joined, of course, this week by Ross.
Hello.
I don't know why it'd be anybody else. Hey, hi, how you doing?
Every episode is a delight. I'm just happy to be here. Can't take it for granted.
You can.
Oh.
I do.
Oh.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
So, it's new music. I don't have any preamble. I guess this will be out if there's not enough time, though. It's going to come out like right before, but you're going to be at Gen Con next weekend. Mm-hmm. You and also Caleb, frequent guest on the show, peddling your RPG wares from your real career. Not sure.
Quote unquote real. Yeah.
Hey, I'm giving you some credit here. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah. Gen Con, for our listeners who aren't familiar, is North America's largest tabletop gaming convention. Last year, 75,000 people showed up.
Which is wild because that's down from like when it was like 100 and some pre-COVID, right?
No, that's actually about as high as it's gone. Like,
really? I thought it was like 100. Okay.
I don't think it's been that. I think it's a...
No, ignore me. You know more about Gen Con than I do. I just thought that when I went, it felt huge. Even when I went. I mean, it is huge. It's just in Indianapolis, instead of like, San Diego. So it doesn't get as big a raw number. And tabletop games are a little more niche than like comic books. So like, it's not as big as Comic-Con. Fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does take up the entirety of that downtown convention center, like eight of the surrounding hotels, and flows over into Lucas Oil Stadium. Mm-hmm. So it's huge. But I don't know if nobody knows who that is, they're probably not set to go, in which case you're going to definitely miss out unless you live in Indianapolis, because all the hotels are going to be booked and tickets and everything. But if anybody happens to be at Gen Con and you see Ross, throw something at him for me.
Yeah. Please aim for the head.
Aim for the head. He needs it.
Yeah. Just make it clean. Don't let me linger. But yeah, if you are a Night Clerk Radio listener, I do have some panels. Message me on Blue Sky or the Night Clerk Discord. Join our Patreon and message me, and I'll I'm doing some events and stuff like that. So yeah.
Just if you happen, there's some overlap, but I feel like anybody who listens to us because of you is either already going to Gen Con or cannot go to Gen Con. Yeah. Or doesn't want to, like me. Anyway, I don't know. That's all I had for preambles. Otherwise, we can just go right into shout outs. Yeah. Normal. What's going on? What's on your mind? Do you want to go first? Let me go first. It is hot. I was actually looking at your shout outs, and I see for number 3, I don't want to spoil it, but I wasn't sure if you're misspelling hot and just complaining that it's hot or if that's actually the right name, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you go first? You're ready.
Yeah. So
you're doing more timely ones. Yeah.
You know what? They're timely, but insultingly not so, because by the time this comes out, they will have all passed or have already passed. I'm doing my roundup of like URL shows that I'm pro, largely because I always announce them after they've happened. And I always use it as an opportunity to say like, hey, if you didn't know this was happening, that's okay. There's probably some way you can still go see it. And sure, is it cool to go and be in the crowd or be in the chat and experience it live? There's surprises or whatever. Yeah, it's probably maybe better if you're into like that sort of community aspect of it, which can be fun. But that doesn't mean you can't go enjoy them after the fact, and that they can still be enjoyed after the fact. And I'm sure everybody involved would love it if you went and checked them out. So I'm just going in no particular order. Most recently, there was a show put on by PowerPC Me, for the 10th anniversary of Kmart 1989 to 1992, which I think when we did the Kmart tapes, we talked about. I'm almost certain. Mm-hmm. But they're going to be performing that live. And then there's also shows from Dreaming Diary and Fantasy, who are both artists we've talked about before. So it will have been last Saturday, the 25th, on PowerPC Me's Twitch channel, which I'll have a link to. But go check it out. I'm sure it's going to be VOD. I'm hoping people put their stuff out in other ways to have it be a little more consistent, because sometimes those Twitch bots are rude to sampled media. Yeah,
and Twitch VODs aren't permanent. They get deleted eventually, I believe.
Yeah, so. VODs do go away. So check it out, but I'm hoping it gets put somewhere more permanent. But also, go check out those artists. We've talked about all of them. Kmart 89-92, banger.
Oh, yeah.
That era.
All-timer.
Hopefully something new to go check out.
Yeah. So my first shout out is a video game that came out recently, and I played through it. It's not a super long game, but it's very hauntological. It is called Forbidden Solitaire, and it channels the vibe and aesthetic of 90s FMV video games that have like graphical, like crude 3D graphics that they don't need to, FMV, like really crudely rendered video cutscenes, but it's solitaire. But at its core, it's sort of done as kind of like this creepypasta thing where you find this video game that's been banned everywhere and you got the last copy of it on the CD-ROM and you load it up and it's solitaire, but like there's all these fantasy like special rules and variants. You know, you get like Joker cards that can like do special things. You know, you fight monsters by playing solitaire, but the cards are arranged differently. And if you got like games like Inscription, which channel this like vibe of like, this is a weird, creepy, haunted game, but also it is a game with some interesting game mechanics to it. Like as you play, you will occasionally be interrupted by instant messaging window where your sibling is researching the backstory of this game and why it was banned and what happened to the video game developers who made it. And, you know, I like solitaire. I played quite a bit of it back in the old Windows days. And so like playing a variant with all these cool, you know, little rules to it. And this wrapping is you know, it was made for me. It's fun.
Unrelated, full disclosure, most movie nights I'm playing solitaire on my end.
Yeah, I literally played it on our movie nights too, like while we were watching.
Because I do this game, Last Call BBS, which is like one of these simulates like a old school like 90s terminal computer.
Oh yeah,
it has like a little solitaire mini game in it amongst it, and it's
you got another another venue, music. Yeah, for solitaire.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, very fun,
very fun. Cool. So for my second one, this is not really technically, I guess, a URL show. It's more of a like an album release watch party on YouTube. So this is compilation of the Isles Volume 2, which is a huge vaporwave compilation from artists submitted through the Space Island TV Discord, which I don't think I'm on. I'm on too many, but so I don't know much about it. But it's just a compilation album that's submitted from tons of names in the vaporwave scene. I think it's a great source of like finding out new artists if you want to see, because there's a lot of, I think, newer, to me, kind of up and comer-y or like just getting established artists on there.
Oh, cool.
So it debuted on Rosecore's YouTube channel, but I think it's put together. It's, you know, it's obviously like a big community project. Yeah, it was a great listen. A lot of modern stuff on there. Yeah.
Good way to scout out for potential artists to review.
Yeah, I think there's some people on there who we've maybe talked about in passing, but I would love the next time they have a new album out to do like Frez and like Frez Wave and
yeah.
I think we've done Star K music before. Frez did all the artwork for this too.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of names on there to check out. I just love these big compilation albums, so go check it out.
Yeah. So my second shout out, for some weird reason, I've been on a Czechoslovakian media bender lately. And the first of this is a film I found on a site and I showed to some friends. It's called You Are a Widow, Sir. It's a 1970 Czechoslovakian comedy sci-fi film where a king of a fictional, made up kingdom decides to disband his army after a soldier accidentally cuts off the arm of his cousin during a ceremony, like one of those ceremonial swords, and he brings it down to motion to the formation to start marching, and he wasn't looking, chops the guy's arm off. And so the army generals decide to kill the king. And they do this by like, oh, he's having an affair with this actress. We'll just make a body double of her and put the brain of a murderess in the duplicate and send her to assassinate him. And so there's like body swapping. There's an astrologer. It's a farce with a lot of assassinations in it and a lot of like sci-fi body swapping. They make the duplicate out of veal, but it looks, it's all played by the same actress. Plays like 3 or 4 different characters who have their brain put into her body. And so it's a very interesting film. I can't quite describe the twists and turns of this movie goes. Some of the jokes still hold up today. Like there's physical comedy and slapstick and explosions. And
when did it come out?
1970.
Sorry? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, back when it was they were under the Iron Curtain, they were like,
yeah.
So it was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, And if you can find it, it's a bit hard to find, but there are a couple sites that have it streaming, and there's a physical media release of it floating around. So it's worth watching.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, last for me is the big one we got to do. I think I've shouted it out or discussed it every single year. But now Cocohead has once again done SignalCon. This is SignalCon 2026, 3 days. 16 hours, I think, if you put it all together, something like that. 15 or 16 hours of Signal Wave, all community made, community supported. Basically 3 huge visual albums because everybody does visuals. Because that component, I think, is really important to the music. So it's all up on her YouTube. It's awesome. It's great to check out. It's great to leave on while you're working. I don't know. Like, these shout outs are comparatively terse for me because they're just things you should go check out. I don't feel like I have much to explain. Like, she's done a great job organizing this every year. I feel like it's gotten bigger every year, going from like 30 or 40 to maybe 65. I think there's like 65 artists now. So it's a huge show. It's a huge effort. Pulled it off once again. Go check it out. Go check out. Learn about Signal Wave. It's one of our favorite subgenres.
Yeah, I've watched, listened to a good chunk of day one and enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm planning to watch over, but yeah, it's 16 hours. It will take me a while to get through all of that.
I've just been leaving it on while working. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the exact same thing I've been doing. Great music to write to, write weird stuff to. So yeah,
for sure.
So for my final shout out is a video game called Hrot, Hrot, which is a Czech word. Yeah, it was not misspelled. It is a retro FPS game. I got a latest Steam sale. Very reminiscent of Quake 1, but doesn't use the Quake 1 engine. Apparently, it was made in Pascal, I believe. But like, it's set in Prague in 1986. It is the brownest game you will see, but all the enemies are reminiscent of Quake 1 enemies. But if you go to the fan wiki, you'll find out it is incredibly layered with Czechoslovakian like cultural references. Like they put specific statues that are in Prague and throughout there. There's the famous clock tower from the Middle Ages that is still in the video game, and like references to the Czech writer, I think his last name is Kapik, who is the one who came up with the term for robot. But he wrote the science fiction novel called The War with Newts. And so there's a level where you're fighting this army of newt men. And so it's this incredibly oblique FPS game, which is fun as an FPS. It actually levels well designed. The gameplay is very fun. The shotgun is very good in the game. And so as a game, it's just fun, especially if you like Quake 1 era kind of retro shooters. But as a cultural text, it's just like reading the fan wiki. Oh, that's what that's a reference to. Oh, that's what that's a reference to. Oh, that's neat. I feel like I learned a little bit. It's just like, and even not knowing this, I understood it was referencing something, and just like getting this little tour through a culture I knew little about. And it was very fun to be journeying through these, corridors, these dungeon-like environments of Soviet era apartment buildings and factories and war memorials and whatnot, blowing up guys in gas masks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the final boss, spoiler alert, is Putin, but he has multiple war forms. Like there's Putin on a bear, Putin fighting with a bear, then he's riding the bear, and then he's on a pterodactyl, and like it's actually a pretty well done fight too, just as an FPS boss. FPSs are pretty bad about boss fights, but this one was pretty good actually. It's fun as a game and as a way to like the weirdness of Czechoslovakia I'm learning. So
of an era.
It's
a turbulent history.
Yeah. So, and if you pick it up on Steam for, $5 or whatever, like I did, it's worth checking out.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, let's get into some music then. And that was a sample from track 2, Final Pulse, off our first album, Echoes of Dying Stars, by artist NGC224, which is the one of many catalog names for the Andromeda Galaxy. So, space themed all around. I think I picked this because in May I did Cat System Core's Empire of Light, which is more like sci-fi space inspired. So I decided to spend like a space ambient electronic trance drone. Dark ambient, because space is dark. It's good for dark ambient. So I think I was just cruising through like space music, dark ambient tags on Bandcamp, and I came across this. So this was released on Pente, which is a like musical community that is associated with a independent record label in LA called Symphera. And this is like maybe accidentally become the new most famous people I don't know if they're famous, I guess, but like most music insiders people we've done on the show by accident. So the record label is strongly associated with electronic music duo Ascendant, which is Chris Bryant and Don Tyler. And Don Tyler was listed as like a Grammy nominated mastering engineer. And I was like, is that true? Or is that like they sat in a room while an album was mastered? You know, because sometimes people do the like, you know, Halo Radiant credit, but this is not true. So they do IO remastering, which has done an incredible amount of like some of my favorite albums. So like 90s, like Cake, like Fashion Nugget and stuff, Buckethead, L7, Guided by Voices, Saves the Day, a bunch of other pop stuff. I had a huge list. I closed the tab in Chrome and now it's not in front of me anymore, but like huge stars, like Rolling Stones live albums and all kinds of stuff. So very, very like good at what they do. And I think that comes through on this album because I think one of the main appeals of this album is just that I loved listening to it from like enjoying. We've talked about like those deep mixes that kind of reward multiple listens because there's like all kinds of little different stuff going on. And it's not as like active or busy as like a Mesh album or something, you know, which has, you know, a lot going on in it. But I think there's just lots of little like details, just a great sense of like oral space, just stuff is mixed. It's all very clean. It's all very well mastered. So the album sort of traces the life of a white dwarf, which is the sort of stellar remnant from a low to medium mass star, like our sun up to, you know, 7-8 solar masses, 10-ish. Just a little hot ball of carbon and oxygen cruising through the galaxy. But I don't otherwise know much about the artists themselves. So there's no guarantee that either of those people are NGC 224. There's a bunch of like related, both on that label and in that orbit of astronomy kind of themed albums by this other artist, Martin Sturzer from Germany. And they're kind of associated in this. I don't know if it's like a alias of them. It doesn't really matter. It's not one it's not one that you can easily Google. And I'm pretty sure it's a one-off for this. The album itself, as you heard, is this ambient trance drone from, I think, starting off is very like pulsing and hypnotic, but more active. And then has this, much like the star into the remnant itself, kind of grows sort of like calmer, a little more down tempo, a little more mysterious throughout the album until you kind of fade out. So the track titles are all related to this life cycle of, you know, not in a scientific sense, but like stellar life, final pulse, ending stage, luminous remnant, silent drift, eternal fading, and cosmic legacy. And I just really like this album. I thought it was very pleasant to listen to. Thematically aligns with stuff I like. I think the problem that I sort of had as I was writing notes, because I had a hard time picking an album for this episode, just because like in the window we were looking, like nothing just really stood out to me. So this is like a nice kind of just pick for something a little different than what we normally talk about. I think I was trying too hard to find something in like vaporwavy. But if there's anything about this, is that a lot of the tracks have similar structure. They're about like roughly the same-ish length. They're all kind of long. They have like kind of same structure where they have lots of different timbres and like elements and pieces that come in and out. But like track to track, they all kind of start with some synth action and then like drums come in and like the drums are slightly different. And so they don't sound the same, but it started to be like, I don't have as much to say like on a track to track basis. It's like an album I really liked. So I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah,
I feel like drone and ambient's like hit or miss when I pick it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I did enjoy this album. It is, it's not actually, you know, the drone elements for me, because of the drumming, the beats, it kind of like,
sure,
it doesn't feel as much like an actual like drone album, you know, like, yeah.
There's like two species of drone to me, which is like, this is drone because it has like kind of this like hypnotic kind of repeated pulsing synth throughout it. You know, I think that both sounds good, but it's also kind of thematically appropriate because you have like pulses and undulations as these stars die, you know, as like material flies off them in pulses and stuff. I don't know if they were thinking about that. There's like that where it's a drone because of like a certain repetitiveness, and not like repetitiveness complementary. Yeah. Right. Of like a consistent structure and like longer track lengths. Like most of the tracks are like 7 to 8 minutes on this album. Yes. versus like lots of little ideas, like our second album, not even little, but lots of like shorter tracks. But then there's also the other side of it, which I also like, but you don't, which is like drone as dirge.
Yeah.
Which is very low change, like low frequency of changes. I'm blanking on the term, but like the harmonic tempo is very low. Like not a lot of chord changes, not a lot of even changes in
it's too static
melody.
Yeah.
It's very static, which I also love. You know, I've talked about Stars of the Lid a bunch of just like, we're just going to hold on a string quartet playing a chord for 45 seconds, whatever, then we'll change. And that stuff also does it for me. So I try to stay away from that for the show.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's fine until it's not for me. Like it gets like those kind of very unstructured drones where it's once I notice that it's been the same tone for 45 seconds, I was like, okay, like, yeah. And this is not that,
you know, that's
to be
almost
fair. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that almost gets into like, there is some other half of it. I don't know. I'm trying to do a clever joke of, you know, like they say the medium is the message. If there's another half of that is like the intent is the reception or something, because like, I don't think I would like it if I was doing it for this show, because you have to sit and like, I sit and I listen and I like really, really pay attention, and you get like hyper focused on details. Mm-hmm. There's like this, not a review show, but people talk about when they do reviews a lot, where you get into like review brain, where you start to feel like, well, I got to have something to talk about. So I got to pay attention to this a lot, because I got to have something, I have to have something to talk about. So maybe I'll just say something weird like, oh, this knob is not as smooth as I would like, or something, because I got to fill time on my YouTube channel or whatever. And you would never think about that if you just bought it. If you just like walked into a Bed Bath & Beyond and like bought this appliance and took it home and be like, awesome, now I have a food processor. It's easier for me to make hummus at home, and I save a shitload of money on hummus. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you have the food processor review channel, this has nothing to do with the music. I apologize to the band. I loved your album. But you got home, now I'm a review processor, and I got to talk about food processors to a bunch of people that care about food processors. So I got to say stuff like, oh, it's slightly harder to put the blade on this one than this one. Or, oh, the click on when I put the lid in, the safety click on this one's not as good. Or, I don't like the paddle as much on this one. When you would never fucking think about this, which is one of the problems with media culture and reviews nowadays. And I try not to get pulled into that with music, because we're not a review show, and that makes it fucking boring to listen to anything, to think about it that way.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I have to have a criticism and a comment on every fucking track. I don't. I liked the album. Do the tracks have fairly similar structure? Yeah. Did I care when listening to it? Like just enjoying it as a piece of art? No. If I sat and listened to it as a reviewer, it might drive me crazy. But I don't care. Like, that's a terrible way to consume media, unless you really, really have to, or you have like a very specific critical goal.
Yeah. I mean, there are degrees of pedantry, and like, you know, once you get past a certain point, nothing, it's all agony. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I picked this album, because it triggered all this thoughts in me. It's like, I just want to enjoy it. And I don't want to listen to it and be like, oh, I got to pick apart every track and I never want to become that just to like fill space on this show.
I mean, that's the finest tradition of reviewing as an art form, is use it as an excuse to go on some other tangent that has nothing to do with what you're reviewing.
That's fair. You know what?
So yeah, art begets art, you know. So, you know, congratulations, NGC224. You've inspired art.
You did it. You did it. And I'm going to reward you by playing a second sample. I just wanted to pick something from later in the album, because there's like I think over the course of the album, there's a pretty nice drift through tones and vibes. So that was from track 5, Silent Drift. So now we've shed off all of our material. We're just a little 10,000 degree Kelvin ball of carbon and oxygen, and we're just cruising through the galaxy. We're very, very hot. Now we have nothing ahead of us. We radiate naturally as a black body, roughly from our own heat, and we cool down over the next however fucking long they'll live. It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. So I enjoyed the album, and yeah,
I do have some things. The tangent in the middle.
Yeah. No, I love it.
I think I had a little break.
Yeah,
I'm at my 6-year break of I got to get it all out, and then I can go back to doing the
when you edit this. It's perfect. But
all right.
Yeah, it's an ambient album, but it's almost not to me. Like it because of the drumming, because it's a fairly active as an ambient music goes, and there are these like, you know, soundscapes, layered synth pads and whatnot. But like in a lot of ways, it reminds me of like 2010s like sci-fi soundtracks, especially in games. Like some of these tracks could be like menu music or sort of like waiting room music for like a
galaxy map in Mass Effect,
or Deus Ex or something like that.
Yeah. Again, parentheses, complimentary.
Yeah,
I agree. So I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking about that too. And whenever introduce like a new artist and they find the show, you know, I always feel like I have to do all my disclaimers about like these things being inspiring comparisons. For me, the other thing I was thinking of, and I don't know if this is accurate because I don't know my EDM genres really well enough. So I have like words in my head, but I don't know if they're technically true. But I also was thinking of very like aughts, like trance. Yeah. You know,
slower than trance, but like
slower
if you
than
slowed trance down, it would fit this. But like trance is a pretty high BPM, and this is not.
That's true.
Yeah, but like it fits the structure. It's just a little. Yeah.
I just think of it as like that pulsing and hypnotic. And that's like my layman's, that's where trance ends for me. I don't know all my jungles 135 and D&B is 140. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's also like the beat structure and stuff like that. Like trance and house music have the same kind of looping, kind of almost drone kind of structure. So that's true. I could see that. It's just, the BPMs.
I think one of my problems is that I like what trance I hear, but it tended to be, my exposure to it tended to be through like more ambient droney, like halcyon, like orbital tracks and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you, Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Yeah, how many people did that lure into EDM as being their big genre?
Oh, that soundtrack, that. I mean, I know it was like a classic before that, but that was definitely my exposure, like orbital and halcyon and on, and like a bunch of industrial, like all that stuff. So, what a banger album!
Yeah. Yeah, it has a lot of interesting tracks. Like the tracks are very similar, but like, you know, in track 5, we have some really luscious synth pads lapping them ears. It's very bubbly. And then, you know, what was it? Silent Drift. It kind of gets a little darker towards the end, but like with track 6, but then in sort of a more upbeat or like heroic kind of mode with the final track. But yeah, it's almost like it's just on the verge of not being ambient anymore. Like it's just active. So if you've bounced off to like some of the more droney, samey kind of sci-fi ambient, you know, like some of the stuff that Cryo Chamber releases. I mean, in some ways, this is also like cinematic ambient, but this is again a little
in a slightly different direction.
Yeah. I would give this a shot if you want like this kind of ambient music, but being a little more active, you know. And big shout out for track 4, Luminous Remnant, because of the little synth horns with the little soothing melody there. It's some cool high-end little sci-fi sounds. I love my beep boops and.
Yeah, a lot of great patches to this. A lot of big, wide, spatial going on. It's great.
Yeah, so it's a good album. Like there's, you know, you can always say, oh, you could do this different, but it's perfectly fine as it is. I'll listen to it again, but I'd like to see. I want to see what they do next.
Yeah, I don't know, and maybe they have done a bunch of stuff. Like I said, they might be this other German artist. I don't know if it's just it's hard to tell who's who, but also this label, if you're into electronic music, I mean, it seems like it's been around since like 2015, so probably a lot of interesting stuff to check out there too.
Oh, for sure. That is track 6, NFT Gallery, from the album Meta by Allegra, who I'm led to believe is actually Christ.
I saw some people say that, and then Rate Your Music also said it, but I don't know if Rate Your Music got confused because it's released on Business Casual, which is Christ's label.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
If it is, good job. If this is the only thing this artist does, good job, because either way, Meta by Allegra. I love this album. As soon as I saw it, I think I found out about it because someone linked it to in the Night Clerk Discord. Like the day it was posted in that Discord, it's like, oh, that's it. Ooh, I got to get this before.
You beat me to
exactly.
It.
It's like I gotta like claim this album before Burke does, because I know you'll claim this if I don't. I don't want it to search. It's like, aha! So I just jumped on it. It's a greedy little goblin, and it is tagged as Fruitiger Arrow, Future Funk, Metro Song, which is a genre I'm not really familiar with, so I'm curious about that. Plunderphonics and Vaporwave, of course. Mm-hmm. So my theory of this album is this is a Malsoft treatment of the failed future of the metaverse, of the Facebook, Web3, NFT, blockchain, VR goggle stuff from like 5 years ago. It was 3 years ago, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And because while I was listening to this album, I actually used my phone, has one of those little built-in.
Oh, like what's playing?
Yeah, what's playing. Yeah. And I identified a couple of tracks, and at least one track has let's see here. I think it's track 8 has a Plunderphonics Shades of Blue from an artist named Loga R. Troikian. Virtual Theater is the name on this album. But anyways, it's from the Facebook Sound Collection.
Yep. Makes sense.
So my theory is that the artist behind this is like, let's do Malsoft, but for like the most failed. Like everyone says malls are dying and dead, and that's true to a degree, but there's still physical malls out there. And I think 30 years from now, there's still going to be physical malls out somewhere. But there's not going to be a metaverse, I'll tell you that much. And like, we're already the dead, dying mall era of the metaverse. And, Facebook had to have music to accompany it. And so let's Plunderphonics it. Let's make it sound haunted as hell. And boy, this is a haunted sounding album. And here we are. We have Malsoft for the metaverse. I love it. The album art is this. It's the Allegra, corporate Memphis style art of a blue woman holding a mask and looking very sad. And I don't know if that's original commission art or something. It's too sad to be like corporate propaganda art, I feel. But it's this incredibly sad, lonely. It's the loneliest Vaporwave album I've listened to in a while. And there's a lot of subtle things in this album that are great. Like it is a heavily Plunderphonic space, it seems like. But there's a lot of like sort of subtle glitching and looping and lo-fi treatment to some tracks. It's not like heavy and blatant like you would get like a 2010s Vaporwave album, but like it comes in really nice places. There's also like a lot of like PlayStation or video game sound effects that are like someone's playing a game in the metaverse, like
swiping and messages arriving, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah, so it's got all of these elements of like somebody wandering through a metaverse and looking at all these buildings bought, with real money to get a house, virtual real estate. Like now I'm reminded of that ad with the Luigi guy. Like I just bought land in the metaverse, and this is the funerary dirge for that. $80 billion wasted on dead end technology. Yeah, it's great. It's Vaporwave of the here and now. Where we don't need to wait 30 years and a nostalgia cycle to start making Vaporwave of corporate hubris. So that's my theory, because I have this idea of like doing a video essay or bonus episode on like shopping malls are dead or dying. And, Le Corbusier said houses are machines for living in. So malls are machines for selling in. And smartphones and the internet are just the newer version of malls, and now they're dying too because of, the dead internet theory, AI slop and all that. So I haven't worked out all the details, but this is like, aha, yes, it's very good. I very, very much enjoyed this album.
Sure.
What did you think, Burke?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I liked it. Like I said, you beat me to it. One thing worth noting, just because you had mentioned this is not the only Allegra album. There's also Horizons in 2023. And I think Earth also in 2023, which is only like 2 tracks. But Horizons has kind of the same, blue Memphis corporate art. But she's got her visor on. She's got her VR Ready Player One headset on and is smirking confidently at the future.
So now she's kind of had a,
Yeah. but I don't remember. I'd have to re-listen to it, but it didn't quite have the same vibe arc, I guess we'll say, as Meta, which I liked a whole lot. It starts off with track 1, Web 3, which is like a weird voice reading Discord rules at you, basically. I mean, we're guilty of this too, but every community Discord has like the same stuff that's kind of a shame you have to say it out loud so people know, because it should be obvious, but of like, don't be a racist, don't be a shithead. But it's all the other kind of things of like, oh, we're all here to learn and flourish together and be nice. It's just reading these Discord rules at you. It's kind of fun. The things that stood out to me on this album are largely production. So the first up through your sample, so tracks like 2 through 5, really even goes to yours, but there's like a slight, your track, even NFT Gallery feels a little bit different than the first couple. So track 1's less than a minute. It's just this voice reading Discord rules. Tracks 2 through 5 are Central Hub, Bliss, Empty Space, and Meta Mall. And they actually have this, like, between field recordings and samples and all these other little production details, have like an incredible sense of space of like being somewhere in the same way like Mallsoft does, which I think why it's maybe an apt comparison, some sense of like, it's a little ominous, but there's like these little bird sounds buried in there. There's all these little naturey optimistic bits going on. Oh, yeah. Track 4 is maybe, you start to lose focus a little bit there because like the melody gets kind of sparse and there's more static versus the earlier ones are a little cleaner. But it does have like, starts off kind of calm and optimistic and you're in space and you kind of go through like, there's like these OS sounds and like it starts to feel more ominous to me. And then like, decay and static. And then there's like birds. And they're clearly meant to be one continuous track. So like, don't listen to this on Bandcamp where there might be like a little second gap. Like listen to it something with gapless playback. Because it is all just one track, essentially. Like the bird sounds and stuff are all carried over from the end of track 4 to track 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's those little library music. I called it Wii Music. Maybe that's what you called like Facebook music. I don't know. You shop it online with the birds. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I managed to ID like 2 of the samples.
Yeah.
I really like track 5 too. That bossa nova vibe of the mall.
Yeah. And then, your sample stood out because that's one that has like, to me, like much more prominent low end, like bass and drums compared to the previous, like more pulsing low end. Like it hit harder in my head, like physically than previous tracks. But then my favorite track comes next, which is Test Labs, which is like the 7-minute long, ominous, hard vibe shift. I kind of joked, is it bait to make me say Blade Runner? Because it's got all these little like synth stings. It's very cyberpunky. But it just comes out of nowhere, and I love it. It's just this long cyberspace, ambient, ominous track with all this going on, and just like this big exploration, which I loved, and that really stood out to me. And then I think the rest of the album after that's like a breaking point where it's like it's either more pensive or more ominous. There's like more random sound effects going on. I did like track 10 Waiting Area. I called it Hold Music Core.
That's great.
I'm super into. We've talked about hold music. Love it.
Yeah.
But it is like overall kind of darker into like, sad piano, maybe some ocean sounds on the last track, Last Online, which is a reference to kind of both communities and people and technologies dying out or like people vanishing off them. Because I was thinking, I sort of joked it's like Stand By Me, but for the internet.
Yeah.
Because there's, like y'all went out to play with your friends for the last time and none of you knew it.
Oh, yeah. So what that track title reminds me of, and this has been documented in many, many such cases, when they say, oh, we're shutting down this MMO server at this time and we're going to do a special event, like PlanetSide or whatever. And I remember this specifically for the PlanetSide. It's like everybody logged in for PlanetSide, all the friends I've made from playing this for the last 3 years or whatever. And so we had one last big battle and we could see the asteroids coming and we were all, and so like, this is like a sort of a rite of passage or like, a thing for people who play these games, the last time that they can get together and play them. At least on official servers. And this is like, the most hauntological thing you can imagine, right? Like the last night on this virtual world before the servers are shut down. And so like, that's got to happen in the metaverse, right? If it hasn't already, like that, you're the last on the metaverse server where people have spent all this money and time and like nobody showed up. And it's just a huge waste of time and effort. Then you're there when the lights go off and you're kicked off.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it reminds it to me. Yeah.
Sure. And that's, that's the neat thing about stuff is it can mean something different to everybody. Because to me, I was thinking of like lost communities and friends where like I'll look at my Steam playlist. They'd be like, oh yeah, I remember this guy. I used to play TF2 with them all the time in like 2013. And it's like, oh, they haven't been on Steam or Battle.net or whatever in like 5 years. Or they haven't played anything in 5 years. Because even people who report themselves as offline, like I appear offline on Steam, but if you look at my profile, you'll see I'm playing games and stuff. But it's like, oh, they haven't played a game in like, I wonder what happened to them. Or they're okay. Like these kind of like these lost people. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking of is.
They're pretty similar events, Yeah. I remember seeing this screenshot from some forum or message board or something. It's like, I made this friend playing TF2 and he said he was from Syria. And then he sent me one last message and like, sorry, friend, bad times ahead. Don't know when I'll be able to log in. And that was, 6 years ago. I keep checking his profile to see when he'll log in, and he hasn't. So I just wonder.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's a very famous copy pasta thing. But speaking of haunted things, let's take a listen to a track you mentioned, track 10, Waiting Area. It sounds like there's a synth harmonica in there, and of course the bird screeching, and like it's just weird. Yeah, it's in complimentary. So I also like in the second half of the album as it gets sadder, there are these kind of lo-fi elements. Like there's this hiss in there, like the production itself is breaking down, the recording is no longer pristine. It's a really interesting album, and it's very subtle compared to a lot of vaporwave. So but when you think about it, it's like yes, it's very rewarding to listen to.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I think I don't know. I think I kind of jokingly overanalyzed last time we talked about Christ in detail, which is WWW, which is an album about, I don't know, like to me, online radicalization and stuff and like decay of people who get pulled into that world. And this one had me thinking a lot about, community and stuff, because I think there's a lot of almost perpetual, for better or worse, I don't know how it'd be for better. Sorry. Anxiety about, the online communities that we built and what's going to happen to them, because all these platforms become corporate run, we're all on Discord. Is Discord going to get sold? It has to at some point. Yeah. I have to imagine it's going to get sold to Microsoft or Meta or whoever. And then what happens to that? What happens to Bandcamp when it got sold, and people trying to find alternatives to get their music out, because depending on who takes over things, it, may not be great. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it captures a lot of that to me as well. Like that sort of unfortunate dependence on corporate resources. Yeah. And a willingness to fund our platforms that we use to all talk to each other.
And they can all disappear the next day, people.
Yeah. It can all, Blue Sky can get sold or whatever. That's where a lot of people now interact. And
yeah. I mean, just people Sony's like, no more physical discs for games. The next day, the PlayStation Network goes down. Like, haha, no one has a game now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think it gets forgotten sometimes, because a lot of these get popular in opposition. So like Blue Sky blew up in opposition to what was going on at Twitter at the time. Mm-hmm. And I think people conflate that with like Blue Sky not just being another company that will, when they're available, will most likely sell themselves to somebody for a shitload of money, and they'll happen the same thing. Mm-hmm. I think there's kind of this perpetual share phone numbers with people you like. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, have the ability to text people. Do not rely on like Discord and social media and shit as the
at least one other media,
phones and emails. One other something stable. Get their Gmail. Get a phone number if they will. It's not always feasible in every community, but
have backups.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the other thing I think about is the thing is, if this is MallSoft but for the metaverse, Mallsoft was based on physical shopping malls, which were popular and were community gathering points at a certain point in history. They aren't now so much, but like there were people who had like fond memories and they loved it and it was part of their core identity and like it was a generational thing. And so there's loneliness and there's sadness when thinking about them. You know, your youth is going by, your memories, you know, the place where you had these memories is going away. And that kind of nostalgia and sentimentality. But the metaverse, no one came. They built it and no one showed up. And so imagine being one of the few suckers who invested in the metaverse, who became like, I'm going to be an early adopter. Even if you didn't put a lot of money in it, you're just playing the games, you're hanging out. You wanted it to be a thing. You wanted to be, then no one shows up and then it's gone. You wasted all this time and you didn't even get friends or good memories out of it. And so like this album, I think kind of captures what that would sound like.
Yeah. That's another interesting malls community that vanished. Because I guess I also thought of, my time working in malls. I don't know. Did you ever work in retail? Ross, you work in a mall?
Worked in food, fast food, but not in retail.
Same idea, I guess. But I worked at a Suncoast in the late 90s, early aughts. And that was like kind of the same thing of like that mall was like, I don't know, my Discord, because we were right next to a Hot Topic and across the aisle from a GameStop. And I knew all those people, all those other weirdos who were into the same stuff. And then when they would get different jobs or get fired or move or whatever, you never talk to them again.
Yeah.
And they just vanish.
Yeah. But that was something, and that was real. And like, there's nothing in the metaverse that was real. Didn't even have that. So
it's fair.
Yeah. So great album. Worth listening to.
100%.
100%.
Thank you so much for listening. Definitely go check out both of these albums. They are fun and different. We also kind of, I don't want to say we counterpicked each other, but a good variety. I think there's, I don't want to say there's something for everybody. That's too ambitious, but it's fun. Check it out.
Get music. We got both kinds, ambient and vaporwave.
What more could you possibly want? Next episode, I don't know. I don't have a specific idea in mind, but when it gets the summers, for whatever reason, I either want to talk about summer jams, which I can't really think of any I'm in the mood for, or nature and climate wave for no reason whatsoever. So I think we're going to do something where we see what's going on in the nature, weather soft, climate wave, nature soft, nature wave, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. See what's going on in that world. Find something to talk about. If you like what we do, you want to hear more of it, we also have a Patreon. We've got, 60-some bonus episodes. Ross just did a solo episode on the Backrooms and Analog Horror. Tons of other stuff there, Discord community, all kinds of things. You can also find us on various social medias. Probably your best bet is either Blue Sky and really Ross Payton on Blue Sky or Nightclick Radio. Website, nightclickradio.com, bunch of other defunct Facebooks and all that, nightclickradio@gmail.com, whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with. Wherever you do feel like checking us out, take a moment to hit up that like button. I don't know, a follow, a subscribe, a whatever. I always call them algorithmic signifiers.
Ooh,
does help.
Like that.
And I've been saying it for years. Yeah, it does matter. It does help spread the word, rate, review, et cetera. But most importantly, however you do choose to share us, we hope it comes along with, as we talked about this episode, building community, either through us or others. There's a lot of great vaporwave communities out there. Yeah, go make friends, make frenemies.
Yeah.
Don't hang out in the metaverse.
Well, you can't anymore, I think.
I can't. You can't anymore. That's true. But if you could, don't.
Friends
settle for
friend.
Discord.
Yeah.
Or go meet people in real life.
Yeah.
If that's your thing.
Go to your dying mall and
go to your local dying mall.
Yeah.
And make content there. Post it on Discord where it's all full of bots.
Oh,
what a fucking nightmare. Hey, thanks so much. You can join our community and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks again. Bye. Bye.